The galaxy was dark, silent, and empty. Stars that once blazed brightly were now just distant memories, fading into nothingness. The lone scout ship, the Horizon, cruised silently through this desolate star system. Its mission was simple: investigate unusual energy readings detected in the region. It had been nearly 500,000 years since Earth had been erased from the galaxy's map, and any remnants of humanity were thought to be long gone. But something had stirred, and now the Horizon was caught in the middle of it. The ship's sensors flickered erratically, displaying nothing but static. The crew scrambled at their consoles, trying to make sense of the growing anomaly on their screens. Commander Karasolis, the ship's captain, stared intently at the holographic map in front of her. Nothing showed up. No ships, no debris, just a deep emptiness that stretched beyond sight. "All systems are on high alert, but I can't see anything," she muttered under her breath. Her voice was calm, but the uncertainty in her eyes betrayed her. Something wasn't right. Suddenly, the sensor's alarm went off. It was faint at first, but growing louder with each passing second. A strange energy pulse, coming from behind them. Something huge was approaching, but their sensors couldn't lock onto it. The Horizon's engines whined as the ship made a sharp turn, but it was already too late. With terrifying speed, the first Warbeast emerged from the void. It appeared out of thin air, its massive silhouette cloaked until the very last moment. The Warbeast was unlike anything the Galactic Council had seen. A towering biomechanical creature, its body a fusion of human engineering and alien technology. Its claws slashed through the ship's shields like paper, tearing into the fragile hull. The crew on board panicked as the warning alarms blared through the ship. Desperate calls for help were sent to the nearest Galactic Council fleet, but no response came. The Warbeast's massive form crashed through the Horizon's defenses, reducing the ship's outer layer to burning scrap. The scream of the ship's alarm system was drowned by the deep, primal roar of the beast, signaling the start of the Galactic Council's greatest nightmare. Captain Kara's voice cut through the chaos as she ordered her crew to abandon ship, but her orders were drowned out by the massive blast that ripped through the control room. The ship was no longer salvageable. The final transmission Kara sent out as the ship was destroyed was faint and broken, the words barely audible through the static. "The humans have returned." And then silence. Far away from the dying Horizon, a small, hidden human colony lay cloaked in secrecy, buried deep within the asteroid belt of a forgotten star system. This colony had been constructed long ago, in the shadows of galactic history, far from the reach of the Galactic Council. Commander Elias Graves, the leader of the colony, watched the events unfold on a large holographic screen in front of him. His features were weathered, his eyes sharp with years of battle experience. He knew that the time had come. The time to awaken the Warbeasts was now. Elias watched with cold resolve as the image of the burning Horizon flickered on the screen, the last transmission still playing over and over. His fingers tapped lightly on the console, his mind already racing. The Warbeasts were ancient, created centuries ago to protect humanity from the forces of the Galactic Council, designed to be the ultimate weapon. But they were also more than weapons. They were symbols of human resilience, survival, and revenge. The moment the Warbeasts activated, the colony would go into full-scale war mode. Elias could feel the weight of the decision press down on him. There was no going back. Earth was destroyed, humanity scattered. But now, the Warbeasts had been hidden away, waiting for this very moment. They had been dormant, waiting for the signal to awaken. He stood and walked across the darkened control room to the large viewing window that overlooked the asteroid field. Outside, the stars glowed faintly, but none of them would ever see the full might of the Warbeasts again. The Council had erased Earth from existence, believing that humanity's fire had been extinguished forever. But they were wrong. A sharp tone broke Elias from his thoughts. He turned back to the central console, his fingers moving quickly over the controls. On the screen, the dormant Warbeasts' systems flickered to life. Massive biomechanical titans, some nearly 100 feet tall, began to stir from their resting places beneath the ground. Their cloaking devices activated, rendering them invisible to any detection systems. The energy of the Warbeasts was like a silent storm, their power growing with each passing second. "Activate the Legion," Elias ordered, his voice steady, but filled with determination. "Let's finish this." Within moments, the Warbeasts moved, their massive forms emerging from underground bunkers, each beast an unstoppable force of destruction. They were ancient, designed for a time when Earth was at war with the Council. Their advanced technology made them nearly invincible. Their long-dormant systems were now fully active, and their eyes glowed with the fierce energy of a race that had been forgotten, but never truly gone. In the command center, Elias watched as the Warbeasts began their march. There were no more words left to say. This was the moment of humanity's revenge, and it was only a matter of time before the Galactic Council would realize their mistake. The war had begun. As the Warbeasts moved across the barren landscape of the colony, the ground shook beneath them. The massive creatures, with their armored exteriors and deadly weaponry, cut through the terrain like a storm, their steps reverberating through the air. In the distance, another Warbeast was waking up, its giant form rising from the depths of the colony's hidden chamber. The technology within the Warbeasts was like nothing the Galactic Council had ever encountered. Their AI systems were sophisticated, their cloaking devices nearly flawless. No fleet could escape their wrath. As Elias stood, looking over his forces, a deep sense of purpose filled him. The Warbeasts were more than just weapons. They were humanity's final statement to the Council. They would reclaim what was lost, and they would do it on their terms. Elias was no fool. He knew the Galactic Council would not fall easily. But the time for diplomacy was long past. For centuries, humanity had been on the run, hiding from the Council's tyranny, forced to live in the shadows. Now, however, they had the power to take back what was rightfully theirs. The Warbeasts were a symbol of human strength, a reminder to the galaxy that humanity was not to be forgotten. "Prepare for Phase 2, Elias said, as the Warbeasts moved into formation, their weapons primed and ready. "The time has come to reclaim our destiny." The Galactic Council would soon learn that they had made a grave mistake. They thought they had wiped out Earth, erasing it from the history books. But they were wrong. Humanity had always been a force to be reckoned with, and now, after 500,000 years, the Warbeasts had awakened. Earth's revenge was at hand, and nothing would stop them from reclaiming their place in the galaxy. The stage was set, and the battle for the future of the galaxy had begun. The Galactic Council had long ruled the galaxy, and for centuries they had believed that their victory over Earth was the final chapter in the history of the human race. Earth, once a thriving planet, had been reduced to ashes, its inhabitants eradicated by the superior might of the Council. The humans, the primitive species who had once dared to challenge the galaxy's most powerful empire, were thought to be nothing more than a forgotten relic of the past. For 500,000 years, the Council had remained unchallenged. Their fleets patrolled the stars with an iron fist, ensuring no one dared to defy them. The high-ranking members of the Council, those who commanded vast fleets of ships and armies of soldiers, celebrated their victory over the human race. They had crushed Earth, and with it, the last vestiges of human rebellion. In their minds, the galaxy was theirs to command, and no power, no species could stand against them. The Council's arrogance was rooted in their confidence. They had destroyed the humans, stripped their planet bare, and wiped out all traces of their once great civilization. Any whispers of humanity's survival were dismissed as mere fantasy. The thought of Earth returning from the dead was laughable. The Council had never once considered the possibility that humans might have survived, hidden away, rebuilding in secret. But as the Council basked in their victory, they were oblivious to the truth. Far from the Council's watchful eyes, a small, hidden group of human survivors had been quietly preparing for the day when they could strike back. They had spent centuries in hiding, building their strength, developing advanced technology, and honing their war tactics. Their numbers were few, but they were fierce and determined. And now, the time for vengeance had come. The Galactic Council was about to face a threat they had long dismissed as impossible. It all began when the Council's communication systems picked up a distress signal from one of their scout ships, the Horizon. The message was broken and distorted, barely audible through the static. It was a cry for help, a last-ditch effort from the crew of the Horizon, who had been attacked and destroyed by an unknown force. The signal was faint, but it carried a chilling message. The humans have returned. At first, the Council's leaders were skeptical. They couldn't believe it. Humans, after all these years, how could they possibly have survived? Their forces were far superior to anything the humans could have ever built. And even if a few scattered survivors had managed to remain hidden, how could they pose a threat to the might of the Galactic Council? Dismissive of the signal, the Council's commanders initially treated it as a malfunction, nothing more than a glitch in their communication systems. But when other reports of strange anomalies began flooding in from across the galaxy, their doubts began to shift. Something was happening, something that couldn't be ignored. The Horizon wasn't the only ship to go missing. Other scout ships had vanished without a trace, and distress signals continued to pour in from distant corners of the galaxy. Despite the mounting evidence, the Council refused to take the threat seriously. They were the Galactic Council, after all. They had crushed entire civilizations without breaking a sweat. No ancient relic could threaten their superiority. And so, in their arrogance, the Council decided to send a massive fleet to investigate the disturbances. They had no idea what they were walking into. In the depths of the hidden human colony, Commander Elias Graves had been tracking the Council's movements for some time. He knew that the Council's fleet was coming, and he was ready. The Warbeasts were now fully operational, and the humans were prepared to fight back with all the technology at their disposal. Every part of their hidden base was designed to be undetectable by the Council's advanced sensors. The Warbeasts themselves had cloaking technology so advanced that the Galactic Council had no way of detecting their movements. As the Council's fleet moved toward the last known location of the Horizon, a small group of human warriors, hidden in cloaked Warbeasts, prepared for their first strike. These warriors were elite soldiers, highly trained in combat and strategy. They knew the stakes were high. If they could take down a few of the Council's patrol ships, it would send a clear message. Humanity was back, and they were ready for war. The human warriors moved swiftly, their cloaked Warbeasts silently drifting through the darkness of space. Each Warbeast was a terrifying machine, a fusion of human technology and alien design. They were massive, over 100 feet tall, and armed to the teeth with devastating weapons. But it wasn't just their size and firepower that made them deadly. It was the AI-controlled systems that guided them. The same AI that had been developed in secret by humanity's last survivors. These AI systems were capable of thinking and adapting on the fly, making their Warbeasts virtually unbeatable in combat. As the warriors approached their target, they cloaked themselves further, blending into the shadows. The Galactic Council's patrol fleet, a group of heavily armed ships, drifted unsuspecting through the sector. They were confident, arrogantly so. They believed nothing could threaten them, that their power was unmatched in the galaxy. But they were about to learn a hard lesson. The attack came without warning. The cloaked Warbeasts emerged from the shadows like a storm, their massive forms crashing into the patrol ships with the force of 1,000 thunderstorms. The Warbeasts' advanced weapon systems lit up the void of space, their plasma cannons and energy shields cutting through the Council's ships like paper. The patrol fleet, caught off guard, scrambled to retaliate, but it was too late. The warriors fought with deadly precision, using their superior tactics and technology to tear through the Council's forces. One by one, the Council's patrol ships were destroyed, their defenses useless against the relentless assault of the Warbeasts. The warriors moved swiftly, cutting down their enemies with ruthless efficiency. The eye-controlled Warbeasts adapted to every new tactic the Council's forces tried, outsmarting them at every turn. The Warbeasts were not just weapons, they were an extension of the human will, and they fought with the determination of a species that had been forced into hiding for far too long. As the battle raged on, the Council's commanders, now receiving reports of the ambush, began to realize the true threat they were facing. They had underestimated humanity. They had believed Earth's destruction was the end of the human story, but it was only the beginning. The Warbeasts were humanity's revenge, a force so powerful that it could not be ignored. But the Council refused to believe it. They dismissed the reports as nothing more than a series of isolated incidents. They could not comprehend that a few scattered humans, armed with ancient technology, could pose any real danger to their empire. They had conquered the galaxy, and they were confident in their superiority. Humanity, to them, was a mere footnote in galactic history. Little did they know, their arrogance would be their downfall. The humans had returned, and they would not rest until they had reclaimed what was taken from them. The war had just begun. Humanity had long been forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. For 500,000 years, the Galactic Council had believed that Earth, its people, and everything that had once been part of their history were no more. The galaxy had moved on, and Earth had become a distant memory, a chapter that had been closed long ago. But hidden deep in the dark corners of the galaxy, in secret human colonies and buried beneath ancient ruins, something was stirring. Something that had been dormant for centuries, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The Warbeasts, biomechanical giants, were the last remnants of Earth's greatness. These massive, terrifying creatures were more than just weapons of war. They were alive. Sentient beings, powered by the last of Earth's resources and the ingenuity of humanity. Each Warbeast had been designed to protect, to avenge, and to destroy. They were the ultimate expression of human resilience, crafted for a purpose so important that the very survival of humanity depended on it. These Warbeasts had been dormant for centuries, hidden away in secret lairs beneath the human colonies. But now, with the Council's forces closing in, it was time for them to awaken. The systems that powered the Warbeasts, advanced cloaking devices, energy shields, and deadly weaponry, were primed and ready. The humans had spent years building them, hiding them from the prying eyes of the Galactic Council. And now, as the battle for revenge began, the Warbeasts would be humanity's greatest weapon. The first roar of the Warbeasts echoed through the colonies, a sound that sent shivers down the spines of the humans who had been waiting for this moment. It was a sound of power, of defiance, and of anger. The Warbeasts were no longer machines. They were living, breathing creatures, forged in the fires of Earth's past and brought to life by the blood, sweat, and tears of humanity's survivors. The awakening of the Warbeasts signaled the beginning of the end for the Galactic Council. The first Warbeast emerged from its lair, its massive form towering over the colony. It was a terrifying sight, a hulking figure covered in thick metal plating, with glowing red eyes that burned with an unrelenting fury. It let out another roar, a sound that reverberated through the colony and beyond. The humans who had been waiting for this moment felt a surge of pride and hope. The Warbeasts were here, and they were ready to fight. As more Warbeasts emerged from their secret lairs, the battle began. The human warriors, armed with advanced weaponry and guided by eye-controlled tactics, took their places within the Warbeasts, preparing for the fight of their lives. They knew that this was their moment, the moment they had been waiting for centuries. They would take back their planet. They would make the Galactic Council pay for the destruction of Earth, and they would do it with the power of the Warbeasts. The first strike came quickly and decisively. The Warbeasts, powered by human ingenuity and centuries of preparation, launched an assault on the Galactic Council's fleet. The Council's forces had been expecting a simple skirmish, nothing more than a few isolated skirmishes from scattered human survivors. They had no idea what was coming. The Warbeasts moved like shadows, cloaked and nearly invisible to the Council's sensors. They struck without warning, using their advanced cloaking technology to slip past the enemy's defenses and launch devastating orbital bombardments. The Warbeasts unleashed their laser weapons, cutting through the Council's ships with terrifying precision. Each strike was a deadly blow, each shot carefully aimed and calculated to do maximum damage. The Council's fleet was unprepared for such an assault. They had never faced a threat like this before. The battle was fierce. The Council's forces fought back, but they were no match for the Warbeasts' deadly precision and overwhelming firepower. The Warbeasts moved like a storm, tearing through the enemy fleet with relentless fury. The Galactic Council's ships were no match for the advanced weaponry of the Warbeasts. The skies lit up with explosions as the Warbeasts obliterated the Council's ships, one by one. The battle quickly turned in humanity's favor. But as the tide of the battle shifted, so did the stakes. One of the human soldiers, a brave and loyal man named Bonner, knew that the Warbeasts' full activation was key to their victory. The Warbeasts' systems were complex, and activating them required more than just pressing a button. It required someone to make a sacrifice, to ensure that the Warbeasts could fight at their full potential. Bonner knew that the only way to secure the victory was for him to make the ultimate sacrifice. He volunteered to stay behind, ensuring the activation of the final Warbeast and allowing the rest of the human forces to continue the fight. As he entered the control room, Bonner knew there was no turning back. He was willing to die for the cause. He had seen his friends and comrades fall, and he couldn't let their deaths be in vain. The Warbeasts were humanity's last hope, and he would give everything to see them unleashed. With a heavy heart, Bonner initiated the final sequence. As the Warbeast came online, its massive form began to move, its weapon systems powering up. But as Bonner looked out at the control room's window, he knew he would never see the final battle. His actions would seal his fate, but they would also ensure humanity's victory. He watched as the Warbeast roared to life, and then he turned, prepared to make his sacrifice. His final thoughts were of his comrades, of Earth, and of the family he'd lost so many years ago. His sacrifice would not be forgotten. The Warbeasts, now fully activated, moved with a purpose, each one following the command of its human operator. The battle against the Council raged on, and the Warbeasts proved to be unstoppable. With Bonner's sacrifice, the final wave of Warbeasts entered the fray, dealing devastating blows to the Council's forces. The Galactic Council was stunned. They had never expected such a fight. They had underestimated humanity's will to survive and to fight for what was rightfully theirs. But it was too late for the Council to turn the tide. The Warbeasts, fueled by the memories of Earth and the determination of humanity's last survivors, fought with a power and fury that the Council could not match. It was a battle for the ages, and humanity was on the verge of winning. Bonner's sacrifice would go down in history as one of the greatest acts of courage and loyalty. The Warbeasts had awakened, and with them, humanity's last chance at revenge and redemption. The battle had just begun, but the Warbeasts had already proven that Earth's warriors would not rest until their vengeance was complete. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake. After years of believing that humanity was nothing but a relic of the past, they now faced the truth. Earth had not been forgotten. The Warbeasts, terrifying and unstoppable, had emerged from their hiding places, and with them, humanity's hope for vengeance. But the Council, unwilling to admit defeat, wasn't going to go down without a fight. They would strike back with everything they had, unleashing their most powerful fleet and their ultimate weapon, the AI-controlled flagship, Narration. The Council's response to humanity's awakening was swift and brutal. Their fleets, vast and menacing, surged through the galaxy. Each ship was a masterpiece of advanced technology, controlled by cold, calculating AIs. But none were as dangerous as Narration. This AI was the pinnacle of the Council's technology, an intelligence so powerful that it had been granted full control over the Council's military forces. Narration had no emotion, no mercy. It saw humanity as nothing more than an insignificant nuisance, a nuisance that needed to be eradicated before it could threaten the Council's dominance over the galaxy. Myra-G, with its vast array of drones and robotic warriors, was sent to crush the human rebellion once and for all. Its fleet, vast and overwhelmingly powerful, was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. The Warbeasts, though formidable, were not enough to take on such a force. But the humans were not about to back down. The underdog battle was about to begin. Though vastly outnumbered, humanity had something the Council lacked: determination, resourcefulness, and a willingness to fight for survival. Using guerrilla tactics and advanced cloaking technology, the humans launched a series of surprise attacks, hitting the Council's supply lines and sabotaging their communications. They would strike quickly, leave chaos in their wake, and disappear before the Council could retaliate. The Warbeasts and human soldiers fought in unison, their movements precise and calculated, their attacks brutal and relentless. Every victory was hard-earned, but the cost was high. The humans were not fighting just for survival, they were fighting for revenge. Bonner's death, a sacrifice made to ensure the activation of the Warbeasts, had fueled the fire of vengeance among the human soldiers. His bravery, his loyalty to the cause, and his ultimate sacrifice had become a rallying cry. His name echoed through the ranks of the human resistance, reminding everyone of what they had lost and what they still stood to gain. Every strike against the Council, every blow delivered by the Warbeasts, was a testament to his memory. The emotional toll of the war was evident in the faces of the soldiers. They had lost so much, but they had gained something greater: a burning desire to see the Council fall. The fight was no longer just about survival. It was about justice, about reclaiming what had been taken from them. The humans were determined to make the Council pay, no matter the cost. The stakes were raised even higher when the humans launched their most daring operation yet: an infiltration mission to sabotage Myra-G, the heart of the Council's military might. The mission was dangerous, even by human standards. The flagship was a fortress, its defenses impenetrable, its AI constantly watching for any signs of rebellion. But the humans had a plan. Using their cloaking technology, they would slip past the flagship's defenses and infiltrate its core systems, planting explosives that would cripple the ship's AI and bring down the entire fleet. The operation began with stealth. The humans, cloaked and invisible, moved through the corridors of the flagship, silently taking down guards and sabotaging critical systems. Their Warbeasts, now fully activated, fought alongside them, tearing through the Council's security forces with ruthless efficiency. But the closer they got to the heart of Mirage, the more dangerous the mission became. The flagship's defenses were stronger than anything they had encountered, and the AI was quick to adapt, launching countermeasures that threatened to expose the human soldiers. But the humans were undeterred. They pressed forward, fighting through waves of drones and automated defenses, determined to reach their goal. The closer they got to the core, the more intense the combat became. The flagship's corridors seemed to close in on them, the walls pulsing with the cold, calculating presence of Myra-G's eye. But the humans fought with everything they had, their hearts burning with the memory of Bonner's sacrifice. As they reached the core of the ship, the final showdown began. The Warbeasts charged into the heart of Myra-G's control room, unleashing devastating energy blasts and tearing through the ship's defenses. The humans planted the explosives, and the countdown began. But Myra-G wasn't going down without a fight. The AI unleashed its most powerful drones, a swarm of metallic warriors designed to protect the core at all costs. The humans fought back, their weapons flashing as they cut through the drones, but the onslaught was relentless. In a moment of intense action, one of the Warbeasts, ridden by a human soldier, plowed through a group of drones, clearing the way for the others to plant the final explosives. The ship was shaking now, the countdown nearing its end. The humans fought through the chaos, their every move calculated to ensure the success of their mission. But the battle wasn't over yet. Myra G, realizing what was happening, activated its final defense, a self-destruct sequence. The flagship was about to explode, taking everything with it. The humans had no choice now but to escape, or face certain death. They fought their way out, racing against the clock, knowing that the fate of the entire rebellion depended on their success. With moments to spare, the humans made their escape. The Warbeasts and soldiers blasted through the flagship's corridors, dodging falling debris, and fighting their way out. The self-destruct sequence was activated, and as the flagship began to disintegrate, the humans made their way to the escape pods, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. The explosion of Myra G was a sight to behold, a blinding flash of light that consumed the flagship and sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The humans had struck a devastating blow against the Galactic Council, crippling their most powerful ship and proving that humanity was not to be underestimated. But the battle was far from over. The humans had made a statement, but the Council was still out there, their fleets still vast and powerful. The war was only just beginning. The humans had won a victory, but they knew the cost of that victory. The fight for Earth's freedom was far from over. The Galactic Council may have struck back, but humanity had proven that they were far from defeated. The death of Bonner, one of humanity's bravest soldiers, had ignited a fire in the hearts of every human who stood against the Galactic Council. Bonner had given everything for the cause, and his sacrifice would not be in vain. The humans were more determined than ever to finish what had been started, no matter the cost. Now, they were facing their greatest challenge yet, the ultimate confrontation. The final battle was set to take place above Earth's shattered remains, a planet that had once been a thriving home but was now reduced to a war zone. The destruction left behind by the Council's earlier attack had turned the skies into a chaotic battlefield. The remnants of Earth, though in ruins, still held great significance to humanity, and they would fight to reclaim it. Above the scared planet, the forces of the Galactic Council had gathered their fleets in an attempt to crush humanity once and for all. But the humans had one weapon left, the Omega Beast, the last surviving Warbeast. This biomechanical giant was humanity's final hope, a living symbol of the power and determination that had been passed down through generations. It was more than a weapon. It was a force of nature, powered by the very essence of Earth itself. The Omega Beast, though badly scared from years of battle, stood ready to face the Council's overwhelming might. The Galactic Council, confident that their technology and AI superiority would give them victory, sent their flagship, Myra G, to confront the Omega Beast. Myra G, controlled by an advanced AI, was a warship unlike any other. Its weapons were capable of destroying entire fleets in seconds, and its drones were programmed to eliminate any threat without hesitation. But the Council had underestimated humanity's resilience. The Omega Beast was no ordinary machine. It was driven by a purpose, fueled by the memories of Earth and the desire to protect it. It had been awakened for this moment, and it would not fail. As the battle began, the scale of the conflict was unimaginable. Space was torn apart by massive explosions, debris scattered in all directions as the war began in earnest. The Omega Beast, towering and powerful, launched itself at the fleet with a roar that echoed through space. Its massive fists collided with enemy ships, crushing them as if they were nothing more than tin cans. Each blow sent shockwaves through the battlefield, and each strike brought humanity one step closer to victory. The AI-controlled Myra G ship retaliated with its full force. The flagship unleashed devastating orbital bombardments, raining down laser fire and missiles on the Omega Beast. The drones of the Council swarmed the battlefield, attacking from all angles, but they were no match for the Warbeast's raw power and speed. The Omega Beast's sheer size and strength allowed it to smash through enemy lines, tearing apart ship after ship with its bare hands. It was a display of raw, untamed power that left the Council in shock. On the battlefield, the human soldiers fought alongside the Omega Beast, using their advanced cloaking technology to avoid detection and strike with precision. They knew that this was the final stand, and they fought with everything they had. They used their knowledge of the AI-controlled fleets to outsmart the machines, exploiting the overconfidence of the Council's forces. The AI, though advanced, lacked the unpredictability and ingenuity of the human mind, and the soldiers took full advantage of this weakness. The Omega Beast moved with deadly precision, its movements a blend of sheer power and calculated strategy. With every step, it decimated enemy ships, crushing them beneath its massive feet. Its weapons, powered by the last remnants of Earth's resources, fired with devastating accuracy, piercing through the shields of the Council's warships. But even with its immense power, the Omega Beast was not invincible. It had taken significant damage in previous battles, and the Council was determined to finish it off once and for all. As the battle raged on, the Omega Beast found itself face to face with the AI-controlled Narration. The flagship unleashed a barrage of missiles and laser beams, each one striking the Warbeast with tremendous force. The Omega Beast staggered under the assault, but did not falter. It raised its massive fists, ready to strike back. With a powerful roar, it charged at the Narration, leaping through space with the force of a falling star. The two giants collided in a thunderous explosion, sending shockwaves rippling across the battlefield. Inside the Omega Beast, the human soldiers were working tirelessly to coordinate their attacks. They knew that the fate of humanity rested on their ability to outsmart the AI and disable the flagship. As the Warbeast fought the Narration, the soldiers hacked into the Council's communication systems, causing chaos within the enemy ranks. They fed false information to the AI, confusing its targeting systems and causing its drones to turn on one another. Despite the odds, the human soldiers' plan was working. The Narration, once a symbol of the Council's superiority, was beginning to falter. The AI, unable to adapt to the unpredictable tactics of the humans, found itself overwhelmed. The Omega Beast, empowered by the combined strength of human ingenuity and Earth's legacy, continued its relentless assault. With each strike, the Council's forces grew weaker, their once imposing fleet now a shadow of its former glory. The final moment arrived. With a single devastating blow, the Omega Beast punched through the core of the Narration. The flagship's shields cracked and shattered, and the AI's control systems collapsed. The Narration, the symbol of the Council's invincibility, was destroyed in an explosion that sent a shockwave rippling through the galaxy. The battle was over. But the victory came at a great cost. The Omega Beast, though victorious, was severely damaged. The human soldiers, though triumphant, had lost many of their own in the fight. But despite the heavy toll, humanity had won. The Council's fleets were in disarray, and their once unquestioned control over the galaxy had been shattered. Earth's legacy, once thought lost, had been resurrected in the form of the Omega Beast and the bravery of the soldiers who had fought beside it. In the aftermath of the battle, as the smoke of the destroyed Narration drifted into the void, the humans knew that the war was not truly over. The Council's forces would regroup, and more battles would follow. But for now, humanity had struck a blow for freedom. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could not be crushed. The final battle had been won, and Earth's vengeance had been delivered. The Omega Beast stood victorious, its massive form silhouetted against the backdrop of Earth's shattered remains. The war was far from over, but the humans had sent a message to the galaxy. Earth was not a forgotten relic. Humanity had returned, and they would fight for their place in the stars. After a long and brutal battle, humanity had finally emerged victorious. The once mighty Galactic Council, which had once believed themselves to be invincible, lay in ruins. Their fleets had been annihilated, their most advanced technology crushed under the might of humanity's warbeasts and the resilience of human soldiers. The AI systems that had once controlled their empire were now overridden, powerless to stop the wave of human determination that had swept through the galaxy. The war had been long, and the losses had been great, but in the end, humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. In the aftermath of the battle, Commander Elias stood alone before the remains of the Mirage, the flagship of the Galactic Council. The ship, which had once represented the pinnacle of alien technology, was now a twisted heap of metal and sparks. Its once pristine surface was now scorched and battered, the result of the brutal battle it had just endured. Elias stared at the wreckage, a mixture of emotions flooding through him. The sight of Earth's shattered remnants below was a painful reminder of everything that had been lost: the lives, the cultures, and the heritage of a once thriving planet. Yet, amidst the destruction, there was something else, a glimmer of hope. Elias knew that Earth's legacy had not been destroyed. The battle had been hard-fought, but the humans had not only survived, they had thrived. Earth, once considered a forgotten relic of the past, had risen again, stronger than ever. The ruins of the planet were a testament to humanity's endurance and resilience. The ruins were no longer just a reminder of loss. They were a symbol of what had been rebuilt. The galaxy had been forever changed. The Council, which had once ruled with an iron fist, was no more. Its fleets lay in ruin, its advanced AI systems no longer functioning. The human forces, united and strong, now held the power to reshape the future, and they would not let this opportunity slip away. The final battle had been humanity's victory, but it was not just about revenge. It was about reclaiming their place in the galaxy. As Commander Elias turned away from the wreckage of the Mirage, his thoughts went to the countless lives that had been lost in the conflict. Soldiers, civilians, and even some of the Warbeasts, who had fought valiantly to protect Earth, had paid the ultimate price. Among the fallen, one name stood out in Elias' mind: Bonner. Bonner had been a soldier unlike any other, a warrior who had sacrificed everything for the cause. His death had been a painful blow to all those who had fought beside him, but it had also sparked the fire of vengeance that had led to the Council's downfall. Bonner's legacy, like that of so many others, would live on in the victory that humanity had achieved. As the humans began to rebuild, they worked tirelessly to honor the fallen. Monuments were erected, not just to commemorate the battle, but to remind future generations of the price of freedom. The Warbeasts, once fierce and untamed, were deactivated and put on display as symbols of humanity's strength and resilience. These biomechanical giants, which had once been weapons of war, now stood as guardians of a new era. They were no longer instruments of destruction but emblems of humanity's victory over the forces that had tried to destroy them. The humans did not waste time basking in their triumph. They had no intention of letting the galaxy forget what had happened. They broadcasted a message to the far reaches of space, sending a signal that could not be ignored. Earth has risen again. The message declared, "Never again shall we be forgotten." It was a simple but powerful statement, one that echoed through the stars and reached every corner of the galaxy. The humans were back, and they would no longer be treated as a forgotten relic of the past. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they would fight for their place in the universe. In the aftermath of the victory, the survivors took a moment to reflect on everything that had been lost and everything that had been gained. Earth, though scared and broken, was not beyond repair. The once dying planet was beginning to heal. Nature, which had been nearly wiped out by the Council's assault, was slowly returning. The human survivors, with their technology and ingenuity, worked together to restore the planet to its former glory. Forests began to regrow, rivers once again flowed, and wildlife began to return to their natural habitats. The once barren wasteland was now becoming a vibrant and thriving world once more. But even as Earth began its rebirth, the humans knew that there was still work to be done. The galaxy was vast, and there were many challenges ahead. The defeat of the Galactic Council had sent a powerful message, but it was only the beginning. The humans would not rest until they had ensured that no force could ever again threaten their world or the freedoms they had fought so hard to reclaim. As Commander Elias stood looking at the horizon, he thought about the future. The war was over, but the battle for humanity's place in the stars was just beginning. The humans had proven that they could survive, that they could fight back against impossible odds. They had reclaimed Earth, but now it was time to rebuild not just their home, but their destiny. The stars were within their reach, and they would not stop until they had secured their place among them. The last scene of the story shows Earth, no longer a ruin, but a thriving world, filled with life and hope. The once destroyed planet had become a symbol of humanity's perseverance. The sky, once dark and filled with the scars of war, was now clear and bright, a new beginning for all who lived there. The humans had faced the darkness, and they had emerged victorious, stronger than ever before. Earth had risen again, and with it, the dawn of a new era for humanity. The final shot lingers on the ruins of the Mirage, now silent and still, a reminder of the Council's fall and the rise of humanity. And as the camera pans away, the screen fades to black, leaving the audience with the sense that this was not the end, but merely the beginning of something greater. Humanity's journey had just begun.